Hello everyone! I'm going to start discussing the important characters of this story, the God Hand. However, they are more mysterious than the Skull Knight, so there are so many imaginary parts in this discussion. In this video, I'll focus on Void, the Chief Angel. Let's get started. From what we know now, we can say that God Hand used to be human. Once every 216 years, those who possess the Egg of the King, the Crimson Behelit, can become one. The current God Hands are Void, Slan, Ubik, Conrad, and Femto. They are the enforcers of someone's will who hide in the depths of the astral world. That's about all we know for sure. It is spiteful that these are the only confirmed information for such an important role. As I've said in my previous discussions, as far as episode 362 is concerned, I believe Void was a tortured sage who sacrificed the Old Midland. We can tell it from his abnormally enlarged brain, and the shape of his face suggests that he's been tortured. This time, I've been doing a lot of research to see if I can find any clues other than that, and I found that he has 6 fingers. I didn't notice it until now. In addition, in the eclipse of Void's reincarnation, the entire area is covered with countless tentacles. The fact that there are 6 fingers and the area is covered with tentacles on the eclipse, I feel that there is a hidden meaning. I believe that the design of the God Hand and the environment of the eclipse during the reincarnation is determined by the karma that they did when they were human. Griffith is a hawk. The white hawk becomes a jet black dark hawk. During the eclipse, he is covered with a tremendous number of faces. This scene could represent the many corpses he has accumulated on his way to his dream. Then again, what about Void? From the fact that he has 6 fingers, I can directly remember polydactyly. It's simply a deformity that causes the growth of many fingers. If you do some research on polydactyly, you might find the information which says, in India and other countries, when a child with polydactyly is born, it is cherished as a child of God. Also, the name Void means emptiness in English. Emptiness for convenience is 0, and there's an association here as well. It is said that it was an Indian who discovered the number 0. From the information about him, 2 keywords came up immediately. India. It may be a bit of a stretch, but maybe he was a Kushan. Next, I will discuss the meaning of the countless tentacles covering the site of the eclipse. If we look at the tentacles in detail, there are several types of tentacles. Some have the scales on the tail of a reptile, some have patterns like the body of a snake, some have the sucker legs of an octopus. You will notice that there are many different forms. I searched for something symbolic to associate with the snake. I remembered one of the ancient symbols, the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros is a snake or dragon. There are 2 types of Ouroboros. One in a circle that eats itself, or 2 snakes in a circle eating each other. The snake has the ability to grow through shedding its skin and its vitality to endure long starvation. It symbolizes death and rebirth and immortality. Ouroboros is a snake with its own tail in its mouth. It has no beginning and no end, and it has come to mean eternity. But in the eclipse of the Void, there is no such expression as a snake sucking its own tail, only tentacles. I think this has a different symbolic meaning. A snake or an octopus or simply tentacles have a strong impression of being demonic in the West. In the first place, the octopus is said not to be eaten in the Jewish book of Leviticus. The octopus has become an object of fear and loathing in the West in general, but not so much today. There is also the image of lust and greed from the pornography of Katsushika Hokusai. From these information, I believe the countless tentacles that appeared in the eclipse of the Void reincarnation, fear and loathing, greediness and lust. What connects here is a fairy tale. In the past, the Supreme King BERSERK became a tyrant, and the imperial city was turned into a drunkard's paradise. The tortured wise man called 4 or 5 angels and sank the empire into the ground in one night. The image of the tyrannical king BERSERK and the symbolic image of the Void's eclipse matches strangely. What is the meaning of all this? To find out, I have a hypothesis. I created the secret story of the birth of the Void at my discretion. This is actually the main topic of this video. Please enjoy my fantasy. About 1,000 years ago, Gaiseric, who conquered the entire continent in a single generation, built a great empire. After laying the foundation of his country, he left the country to his successor. And then he disappeared. About 100 years later, a six-fingered baby was born in Kushan, the region of Empire Midland. In the religion of Kushan, a child with polydactyly is prized as a child of the gods. The whole village worshipped him. He was taught every higher form of education and every form of magic known to Kushan. When he became a young man, he went to Midland, the capital of the empire, and received the higher education of the Midlands as well. He also learned that the land had its own unique magic and was secretly absorbed in the study of magic. While he was receiving higher education, the rumor a child prodigy has emerged spread in the political circles of the Midlands. He hid his sorcerer's identity and served in the Midland Empire. There was a spirit of meritocracy in Midland at the time, like the Mongol Empire that swept across the Eurasian continent in the Middle Ages. So, even if you are from a conquered land, you can make it to the center of politics if you're good enough. There were those who didn't like him and tried to drag him down because he was a Kushan. But he had mastered the magic of both the East and the West. Nobody could even compare to him. Some of them disappeared, some fell ill, some went mad. No one suspected it was him, because he humbly played himself as a Kushan in the castle. He watched vigilantly for an opportunity to achieve his goal. His purpose is, of course, to take control of Midland, his homeland, and take over the empire at the hands of the Kushans. He could finally rise to the right hand of the king, the Grand Vizier. By this time, he became the wisest man in the empire, and the king trusted him. He had made a name for himself, but that was not his true purpose. He cast a spell on the king and his entourage and took control of the country's politics. The enchanted king made ridiculous policies one after another. The nobles were given over to debauchery, and every night they'd go on drinking binges. On the other hand, the people were taxed heavily. Some were beginning to die of hunger. Those who rebelled were purged without mercy. The people's anger was about to reach its peak. Meanwhile, he pretended to criticize the regime alone at the center of politics and be disliked by the king. For this purpose, he even tortured himself on his own face. He criticized the king. And when the people saw his tortured face, they thought he was the right man to be a king and tried to start a revolution to overthrow the monarchy. In the shadows, he's plotting a coup. He schemed so much. On the eve of the people's uprising, a mysterious figure appears in Midland. The man wore black skull armor, accompanied by fairies and a number of sorcerers. That night was the Supreme King Gaiseric himself. He suddenly disappeared over 100 years ago. I don't know why, but it seems he was staying on Elfhelm where time flows differently. He didn't care because he didn't think that the Supreme King Gaiseric would come back. But Gaiseric, who could borrow the wisdom of fairies and sorcerers, soon discovered his true identity. Gaiseric was determined to hunt him down, but he used the situation to his advantage and told the king that Gaiseric and his men were planning to revolt against the king. Here we have Gaiseric, the fairies, the sorcerers, the people, and the Midland Empire army. Gaiseric seemed to have a hard time fighting against his old enemy, the Midland Empire, but he still has sorcerers and not a match for their army. He got to him somehow. He was familiar with both Eastern and Western magic. He fighted hard but finally defeated him. Then the sun begins to fade. An eerie darkness was creeping in. When he tried to finish him off, he noticed that his chest was shaking as he collapsed. That's because of the egg of the High King, Beheret the Crimson, which a sadhu had given him as a gift when he left his native land of Kushan. So that was the hypothetical story of the birth of Void, and that leads to the eclipse in my hypothesis. I'm sorry to say that my imagination has exploded so far. In this story, the Void did not feel any kind of love not only against the Empire, but also against the people and to Geyserik. So there's no one to sacrifice in the eclipse. I thought that I can give a reason for the tentacles in the eclipse scene that are symbols of fear, disgust, greed, and lust. This is a failure of discussion. Well, what do you guys think? Do you have any other ideas? If you have any other ideas, I'd love to hear your discussions. In the first place, I'm not trying to come up with a complete answer on my own. I'm trying to do so with your comments and suggestions. This is why I made this channel. Of course, there will be pros and cons. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the like and comment. Thank you for watching.